Hey, I see stuff is set up in the churchyard. What's up with that? Huh?
Hey Al, are you signed in yet?
Not yet. I'm trying to find my link.
Should I be there?
67,000
with
apartment.
a two-bedroom apartment.
That's an awful high monthly rent. We need more chairs.
Not if your mortgage.
That's we're gonna go
to.
Oh my gosh. All right, I'm coming.
Where's that?
I don't know.
Okay,
It was on, except in Fairview.
Yeah, I don't even know. It's probably a co-op.
Well, I didn't see where it actually had
Oh my gosh, well I'm a little fogged up, so it's frustrating.
a parking garage, a
Little
space
blind.
for a garage or anything. It was just a two-bedroom apartment. And, which is fine. But
We could bring chairs out, that'd be great. You mean after you sing? Yeah, you could come in, I'm gonna be inside for that part.
10:30 right now.
Well, I got Zoom run up there.
Oh, for crying out loud. What's going on? So did you
Al, are you set up here? Am I set up to be heard or not yet? Sound's not working? Sound's not working? You're giving a signal?
Well, that's too
Okay.
strong, but that's
All right,
there.
we'll just use this one laptop and
Come on, guys, kick
at
something
least
happy
try to be.
out. You
I
can do
have
better
a
than
song, by
that.
the way, I'm signed up. So, this is what I want to do. It's Leonard Cohen's.
Fine.
We're
Passing
doing special
through-
music during the service, though, right?
Huh?
We're not doing the special music yet.
Oh, okay.
This is just the pre. This is just
Yeah, I'm just passing this out.
Yeah.
Just at the moment, so I might as well start playing music.
Okay. Yeah, just so when we get to that, we have it. What are we doing now then?
Okay, we've had a request for something happy.
Might have to switch internet really quick one more time, so we might go out one more time, but then it'll be back.
Imagine, 121. Imagine all the people living for today. Oh, imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Oh, they say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possession. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
Yeah. So, we getting requests, or
All right, you can type in if you have requests, or you can shout out.
are we just,
We did one John Price out already.
oh, really?
We did too many of them.
Do it all John Prine all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't bother me.
I know it would bother you.
So which one was that you did?
We did hello.
Hello in there,
How
yeah.
about John
Yep.
How about John Denver's Country Road or something?
All right, what number is that?
Give us the number.
I gotta look it up.
37.
37?
Yep.
Oh, let's see here now.
What says in this here book?
A wreck of the old 37. All right.
Oh my goodness. This
That's all I'm traveling around.
almost heaven. West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is older than the trees, younger than the mountain, rolling like a breeze. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, all my memories gather round her. Miner's blade, stranger to the water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, take me home. Down country road. There you go.
Made it. I didn't break once. I'm up above my range. I'm a fish pretending to be.
All right.
Look
Number
out, that's the
40.
worst kind, isn't it?
I like 36. If you guys got nothing better to do, that we could milk that for the rest of the afternoon.
Yes.
I know we can. We'll
Let's
do
do the
40.
3-hour version.
I got a call for 40 first, so
All right.
then we'll do 36.
Got it.
Unless we get something for the peanut gallery.
40. What?
Yeah.
Hey, all you peanuts.
That's a challenge, Peanut. 46.
40. Proud of Justine, the Reader's Digest, in the back of a dirty bookstore. Master flag with gum on the back, fell out on the floor. Well, I picked it up and ran outside, slapped it on the window shield. And if I could see old Betsy Ross, I'd tell her how good I feel. But you might tell me that you ain't ever anymore. You're already old and proud, from your dirty little war. Now she knows all I tell her, no matter what the reason for. And nothing I can tell won't get you into heaven anymore. Well, I went to the bank this morning, and the cashier said to me, if you join the Christmas club, we'll give you 10 bags free. Well, I didn't mess around with it. I took him on what he said. And sucked them fingers all over my car when I'm the worst forehead. But you might tell that you ain't heaven anymore. You're already overcrowded from your dirty little war. Now keep it going. so close, flags I couldn't see. So I ran the car upside the curve, right into a tree. By the time they got a doctor down, I was already dead. You'll never understand why the man standing at her like this. Like church flag and cow on yesterday, and the anymore. We're already overcrowded with that dirty little war. Even though I can, no matter what they're reason for, hanging up flags and cow on
Back to 36.
Back to 36.
How about my peach decal? Does that help?
No,
That won't either.
takes more than that. Fully Nazareth, I was feeling about half-past eight. I seen some place where I can lay my head. And this can you tell me where a man might find a bed? He just grinned, he shook my hand. No, that's all he said. Take a load of pain. Take a load of grief. Take a load of pain. Put the load right on me. Picked up my bag. I went looking for a place to hide. And I saw Carmen and the devil walking side by side. I said, hey Carmen, come on, let's go downtown. She said, I got to go, but my friend can't stay around. Take a load of pain. Take a load of grief. Take a load of pain. Put the load right on me. Go down this Moses, there ain't nothing that you can't say. It's just old Luke, just waiting for the judgment day. Well, Luke, my friend, what about John Canaries? Said you favorite son, won't you stay and keep it company? Take a load of pain. Take a load of grief. Take a load of pain. Put the load right on me. Crazy just followed me when he caught me in the fall. He said, I'm gonna fix your racket. You'll take back my dog. I said, lady, Chester, you know I'm a peaceful man. Said, that's okay, boy. Won't you be here? Yeah! Take a load of pain. Take a load of grief. You put the Lord right on me. Catch a cannonball, now take me on down the line. My bag is sitting alone, and you get signed. Get back to Miss Granny, you know she's the only one. You said every bird in the heart for everyone. Take a load off, Granny. Take a load. Take a load off, Granny. You put the Lord right on me. Oh, we got a lot of good ones.
I know.
I saw that.
You know it.
Kind of. I've sung it. I've played it for you.
Yeah, you played it in song circle.
I was gonna do number. Oh, sure. We got requests are always honored. Or
Well,
hard to get
that's
any. We hardly
Simple
get any.
gifts. Sometimes in the breach, but we all.
All right. Yeah. Number 12.
They call leadership.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we are in the place just right, we will be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we will not be ashamed. Turn will be our delight, till by turning we come alive. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, its streets and slums and the stars above. Salvation is here, where we laugh, where we cry, where we seek it and love and live and die. When true liberty is found, by fear and by hate, we will not be bound. In love and in life, we will find a new birth, and in peace and freedom redeem the earth. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we are in the place just right, we will be in the valley of love and delight.
Thank you very much, and I hope we pass the audition. Right.
That would be Down by the Riverside, number 13.
Oh, you know that.
That happens to be handy.
Okay.
I ain't gonna study more no more.
No, neither am I.
I'm afraid I've had enough.
I actually never did study much of it.
I did.
I know you did.
Pass the law. Okay. We're on.
I'm gonna lay down on my sword and shield, down by the riverside, way down by the riverside, way down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down on my sword and shield, down by the riverside. I'm gonna study the war.
Oh, no more.
Some bad chords on.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Walker Church, where our mission is to nurture spirituality, build caring community, and work courageously for peace with justice and mercy. Blessed be. So, thank you for hanging in there with our various, as usual, tech issues, but we'll invite Al to kick us off if you're ready for that, Al.
Okay, my relatives, welcome here on this extraordinary planet. As we're all in different orientations, settle, feel that gravity of this extraordinary rock. Let your consciousness drop down into the awareness of the molten hearted Gaia. Welcome here where we are in today's radiance of soul. And we are here where we are in the reflected light of Luna. Welcome here where we are also between the Southern Cross and Polaris, and always within this exquisite, wondrous, glorious mystery that pours forth an ocean of discoveries that are washing at our footprints as we walk along its shore. I am utterly thrilled and delighted to be here sharing this virtual and real life connection with each and every one of you, of all of us, because this also goes to the planet through the information sphere at the speed of light. I am utterly beguiled by that light that I see in your eyes, that is from behind your eyes, from that place where there is your spirit, that essence, that divinity, that Atman, where we are all one. Namaste.
All right, so thank you for that, Al, as usual, as always. We appreciate that. I'm going to continue this time in sharing, and we have Benita here, and Benita's going to share.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Can we hear her, Al?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. All right. I thought for homecoming, I've wanted to read this poem for a long time, but I thought, considering this is the poem that hangs up next to the door of my apartment every time I walk in and out, I thought I'd share it with you finally. It's from, it was performed at the 1999 Powderhorn Writers Festival. It was performed at the 1999 Powderhorn Writers Festival, and it's by Amy Balstead. And there's art with it by Allison Heimstead. It's called Heritage of the Bones. I wear the face of generations. I bear heirlooms of hair and of skin. Whole tribes have conspired to create this body. It is their culmination, their continuation. Those who would be otherwise lost are still to be found in the strength of this chin, in the wide arc of these hips. I feel my way with the hands of my grandmothers, hands that have tended the field, hands that have tuned cellos, that have turned lefse, counted rosaries, cleaned endless kitchens, hands that have worked assembly lines, that have taken tea with queens, hands that have held children, who gave these hands to me. Oh, grandmothers who who came from my fatherlands, grandfathers who spoke my mother's tongue. How could I not love this body? These features have formed and set into places parallel with yours. Your bloodline is locked in these veins. From times I could not know, from countries I will never see, you have passed to me this body, this history, this heritage of the bones. Blessed be.
This is a song from a singer-songwriter named Brenda Weiler, who's originally from Fargo, North Dakota. It's called Fly Me Back. Oh, shoot. Can somebody give me an A chord? Sorry. God. Just want to start out too high and then get in trouble. I was standing at the corner of Ashland and Oxford Street. And it was cold enough, turn the rain drizzling down into sleet. And I was sitting in a place that I could not remember, to feel and to be at one with. And my father started speaking softly in my ear, saying, this is what is real, and this is what can save you. Fly me back to where I belong. Fly me back to my family. Why don't you look down in our faces sometime and fly us out of here? And I was holding on to a child as if it were my own, and I had everything all figured out, with everything unknown. And I stared into his eyes, and I stared into my own, saying, this is what can save, though my body may fail me. Fly me back to where I belong. Fly me back to my family. Why don't you look down in our faces sometime and fly us out of here? Fly me back to where I belong. Fly me back to my family. Why don't you look down in our faces sometime and fly us out of here? And I looked up to gaze into the sky instead of at my feet, and nothing can describe the feeling I could hardly speak.
Beautiful, just beautiful. Thank you. Did you write that or where'd that come from? Brenda Weiler, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So as Benita said, this is Homecoming Sunday and it looks a little different than it did last year or for the many, many years that have come before this. But it's good for all of us to be together, whether we're in this outdoor space right now or whether you're online with us. And I'm grateful to be able to see your faces this morning. We do actually have a drive-through brunch after this. Ebony is making a whole feast, so it'd be wonderful for you to come out for banana Foster French toast and sausage and all sorts of other goodies. So you are cordially invited to, you can either just drive by or if you're able to sit at a social distance in the front or backyard here at Walker, that's just fine too. We'll make sure that whatever you need is here for you. So that is a good and wonderful thing. Some of us got to experience the joys of hearing Mary Parker preach about her dad yesterday. Great job, Mary. That was really beautiful and lovely. Unfortunately, we weren't able to record it, but if you have other thoughts about Jim, Mary's dad, who passed away, you could send it on to Mary, and I'm sure she'd be grateful to receive any notes. It was great to meet Mary's family a little bit, and Mary's brother-in-law wore one of their dad's fedoras, which was pretty cool. Sounds like he was a man of style, so that was really great. Mary, did you have any other comments around that? Or are you happy and content? Okay, good. I hope you're resting well after you had to do all the hosting and serving and all the things you did at one time. Reminds you of why it's good to be not currently pastoring sometimes. Sometimes it's good to have a break. So those are some of the things on my mind. Another thing I just wanted to share is that I invited you all and you really came through when it came to providing music today. So a big thank you to Benita and Anne. And then I know that we've got a choir. We have a choir piece, right? Online, I believe. Yeah, I have a choir piece I can play. Howard's got a song. Did you want to play something live, Howard, or do we want to play the recording? We'll do it. We have a recording. Alan's going to do some music. That's going to be great. So we've got more music to celebrate homecoming, because I know that's one of the best parts about Walker is the wonderful, soulful music that you share with one another. But to kick off this day, there's something that came into my mind when thinking about this homecoming Sunday and in kind of the world that we're living in and meditating on it as it relates to Walker Church, where we are right now, and Walker's future. As I was thinking about the scriptural concept of the year of Jubilee, and I'll read a little bit of what I'm talking about. The scripture I'm thinking of specifically comes from the book of Leviticus, and it's just kind of over and over again in this Older Testament, the law that is given to Moses by God. And Leviticus is one of those books that if you're in a nerdy religious circle, you might joke around about scriptures from Leviticus. There's not really a lot in there that you want to devotionalize, that you want to be like, oh, I'm going to just hold this in my heart. It's so beautiful. That's kind of not really what Leviticus is about. It's a little bit like reading a bunch of laws and reading from a rule book. And so that's not exactly a usual thing when it comes to, it's not super common for us to read through Leviticus as churches, unless you want to just read the 10 Commandments or something, because that's like the short and sweet version of the laws, the 10 Commandments. It doesn't get into eating the blood of animals or anything like that. But there's this idea of the year of Jubilee. I actually met a girl named Jubilee one time. It's a Jubilee as in kind of like jubilation, joy. And I think this year I'm definitely in this fall time, in this homecoming time, thinking a little bit about looking back on where we've come from and who we are right now. And as we talked last week, we talked about boundaries a little bit, thinking about who you are versus who you're not, which is definitely an important thing this season. I know that today, maybe it wasn't quite the same for every other person, but for the most part, the world kind of shut down March 13th, which was exactly 6 months ago today. That's kind of the day, that was sort of the big Friday where all the schools said, all right, we're done this next week. Everybody's going into quarantine. So it's been a pretty wild 6 months. And now's a good time for us to take a breath and think about what it would mean for us to reconsider time together as a year of Jubilee in this neighborhood. So I'll explain a little bit more about that a little later after some of the more music, but I wanted to just bring up the year of Jubilee concept and Sabbath and read to you a little bit of the scripture. So the section here starts talking about the Sabbath year and then the year of Jubilee. The Lord said to Moses at Mount Sinai, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land I'm going to give you, the land itself must observe a Sabbath to the Lord." The land itself must observe a Sabbath to the Lord. "For 6 years sow your fields, and for 6 years prune your vineyards and gather their crops. But in the 7th year, the land is to have a year of Sabbath rest, a Sabbath to the Lord. Do not sow your fields or prune your vineyards. Do not reap what grows of itself or harvest the grapes of your untended vines. The land is to have a year of rest. Whatever the land yields during the Sabbath year will be food for you, for yourself, for your servants, the hired worker, the temporary resident who lives among you, as well as for your livestock and the wild animals in your land. Whatever the land produces may be eaten. Count off 7 Sabbath years, 7 times 7 years, so that the 7 Sabbath years amount to a period of 49 years. Then have the trumpet sounded everywhere on the 10th day of the 7th month." A lot of sevens here. "On the Day of Atonement, sound the trumpet throughout your land. Consecrate the 50th year, proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you. Each of you is to return to your family property and to your own clan. The 50th year shall be a jubilee for you. Do not sow, do not reap what grows of itself, or harvest the untended vines, for it is a jubilee and is to be holy for you. Eat only what is taken directly from the fields. In this year of Jubilee, everyone is to return to their own property. If you sell land to any of your people or buy land from them, do not take advantage of each other. You are to buy from your own people on the basis of the number of years since the Jubilee, and they are to sell to you on the basis of the number of years left for harvesting crops. When the years are many, increase the price. When the years are few, decrease the price. Do not take advantage of each other, but fear your God. I am the Lord your God. Follow my decrees and be careful to obey my laws, and you will live safely in the land. Then the land will yield its fruit, and you will eat your fill and live there in safety. You may ask, what will we eat in the 7th year if we don't plant or harvest our crops? I will send you such a blessing in the 6th year that the land will yield enough for 3 years. While you plant during the 8th year, you will eat from the old crop and will continue to eat from it until the harvest of the 9th year comes in. The land must not be sold permanently, because the land is mine, and you reside in my land as foreigners and strangers. Throughout the land that you hold as a possession, you must provide for the redemption of the land. If any of your fellow Israelites become poor and are unable to support themselves among you, help them as you would a foreigner and stranger, so they can continue to live among you. Do not take interest or profit from them, but fear your God, so that they may continue to live among you. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan and to be your God. Observe my Sabbaths, have reverence for my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Alan, you want to come share?
as we live our life, one of the things we realize is that we're very temporal here. You know, we spend our time trying to make a difference, but in the reality is we're only just passing through. I saw Adam leave the garden with an apple in his hand. Said, now you're out, what are you gonna do? Plant my crops and pray for rain, maybe raise a little cane. I'm an orphan now and only passing through. Passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. Tell the people that you saw me passing through. I saw Jesus on the cross, on that hill called Calvary. Do you hate mankind for what they done to you? He said, talk of love, not hate. Things to do, it's getting late. I've so little time and I'm just passing through. Passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. Tell the people that you saw me passing through. Well, I shivered with George Washington one night at Valley Forge. Why do the soldiers freeze here like they do? He said, men will suffer, fight, even die for what is right, even though they know they're only passing through. Passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. Tell the people that you saw me passing through. I was at Franklin Roosevelt's side just a while before he died. He said one world must come out of World War II. Yankee, Russian, white or tan, young and old in every land. We're all people and we're only passing through. Passing through,
Passing through,
passing through.
passing through.
Sometimes happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. Tell the people that you saw me passing through. Gandhi spoke of freedom one night. I said, man, we gotta fight. He said, yes, but love's the weapon we must use. For with killing no one wins. It's with love that peace begins. It takes courage when you're only passing through. Passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. Tell the people that you saw me passing through. I was talking with the crew of the Catch the Golden Rule. From these prison walls, tell folks what we tell you. That if the bombs begin to fall, they will kill us one and all. We're all in the same boat and only passing through. Passing through, passing through,
Passing through.
sometimes happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. Tell the people that you saw me passing through. Keep them if you want them. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. I see Fred has a comment here. Leviticus 25 was my bar mitzvah portion. Let freedom ring throughout the land. Year 50 Jubilee. Thank you. I would love to hear more about that experience for you, Fred. So I have been meditating on this section of Year of Jubilee, and honestly, maybe you heard it a little bit too, but I just feel that so much of it feels a little bit like this 6 months that we've been going through. It feels like some of the natural consequence we've had of these last 6 months of quarantine, and I think a little bit about how actually similar, how time after time we have the same issues in different places. Like the scripture that they're talking about, this time of Moses and these conversations with God that Moses is having in Leviticus is a time of exile, a time of being foreigners in the land. And then God reminds the people, you're all foreigners on this land. Like you're just saying, we're just passing through. All of us are temporary on this place. And it's so tempting for us to cling so tightly to the things we decide are mine, are ours. The land that we stand on right now doesn't really truly belong to Walker Church, does it? I mean, it's originally property of the Native American tribes that were here, the Dakota Sioux and others. Then we get to a place where you technically might buy a building, but often you still are paying off a mortgage to someone, some bank, somewhere. Oftentimes we feel like we have ownership of something, of a piece of land, just because we pay money to it. But really, we are always sharing these things together. And since we are all just temporarily here, we need to remember that all these things belong to everyone. And the more that we cling to everything around us, the more suffering and sorrow we're going to have as we try to pursue our goals together. Our goals such as our nurturing, our spirituality, our building, our caring community, or working courageously for life and community together. The more we cling to our stuff, the more we cling to the way things have been before, the way that we cling to control, the less we'll be able to fulfill those values. So what I love about this Year of Jubilee is that it's okay that it finds a balance between having years of structure, years of regularity, caretaking. There are people whose roles is to be servants. Maybe they've gotten into debt and they're paying off a debt. There's definitely just the natural structures that pop up in imperfect human societies. There's people with more, people with less. It's not saying that people have to suddenly be different and perfectly, that 6 years at a time, we need to perpetually always be living in perfect equality and harmony. The scripture isn't so impractical as that, although that would be the dream. But it's saying that to remember that these structures were not God-given, that the structures and hierarchies that we have, the ways that we decide that we think we're in control of everything around us, that we have to remind ourselves that that's not the case. And so every 7 years and then every 50 years or so, the declaration is that everything gets put back to a clean slate, that people are sent home back to their lands where they came from, that debts are forgiven, that people take time to let the land itself rest, to treat the land as a living being, not as something we just buy and sell as property that we take control over and pour cement on top of, but that the land itself deserves a year to itself. And there's lots of scriptures about giving and allowing 1/10 of your property to be free to the people around you as a tithe, as a gift to those who are passing through. Lately, I've been hearing stories more and more about how the chaos of South Minneapolis and all of Minneapolis has increased, how the increase of tension of things that have been going on isn't just what we're seeing on the news. It's not just about things like race and George Floyd. It's not just about that. The other chaos things that have been going on, some of it has had to do with the control of property yet again. The owner of Cup Foods has been having a lot of control issues on the control of his property. And it seems there's rumors going around about the ways that gang violence has gone up in the neighborhood in South Minneapolis may have relationship with Cup Foods. And also places like North Minneapolis, where when things got burned down and shifted and rearranged, it could be that various gangs gained and lost different properties. And so yet again, it comes down to violence that happens because people are clinging to something that they want to have control over, the territory and the property that they have worked hard for in certain places, that this is a part of our inherent anxiety about scarcity, that humans, when left to our own devices and when put in stressful situations, are afraid of scarcity. And so we colonize, we try to take control of the land, we try to take control of streets. And it's a way for us to feel some control over where we are in this place and feel like we've given ourselves some sort of authority and put ourselves on the top of the food chain. This is also one theory as to why God would choose God's people to be starting out in Israel. There's lots of history and theories about that, and I'm sure that Fred could share from a more authentically Jewish perspective of like, why would God choose Israel? Why is this the location? But one interesting way to look at the place that is Israel, where a lot of the biblical events happen, and the place where a lot of Jewish, Christian, and Muslim people call home and call holy place, is that it's a place where people are passing through and passing by. That it's a natural place through the water, through the Mediterranean Sea, and through the different continents. It's kind of like the heart of multiple continents coming together, coming up from Africa, coming from the east, from the Asian continent, coming from the north to the Middle Eastern and European areas. And so it's interesting to think that in times like this, where God is declaring a year of Jubilee, that the way that God intended people to interact is that people from all tribes, all nations, all over that known world would interact and love each other in harmony. And of course, what is it that humans naturally do is instead, Israel has become one of the most hotly contested places for land. The land has become a symbol of so much war, that there's been so much fighting between Israeli and Palestinian people, that there has been, and when I spent time in Jerusalem, it was interesting to see how clearly property was delineated between Armenian, Christian, Orthodox, Jewish, Muslim communities. There's a lot of clarity as to who supervises and owns what. And actually, I don't know if I've told this story before, but there's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is this very, very large church that technically, according to tradition, encompasses the place where Jesus was crucified, and then the place where Jesus was buried and rose again. That's how big this church is that both of those holy places, according to many different traditions, are in that same building, in that same church. And there's a story, a folklore sort of story that goes, because when you're you'd think that, if there's something that precious and holy and sacred and old around here, right, you'd have like big guards out front, and you'd have just everything would be pristine and whatever. But the issue out there is that we're not just talking about like if you were out here trying to visit the White House or the Declaration of Independence, we have things kind of in a museum and cleanly cut away, but we only have a couple 100 years of history. when you're getting to a couple thousand years of history with world of major religions and major cultures that are fighting over certain properties and areas, disagreements about how things are taken care of become much more difficult. And so when you go into the main entrance of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, you'll notice that there's a weird little ladder going to nowhere that's above the entrance. And if you ask about the ladder, because it seems to have no purpose, it's not a particularly pretty, it's not like a golden gilded ladder to symbolize all of our entrance into heaven or something. It's just like a weird ordinary wooden ladder that's just sitting on top of the entrance. And there's different traditions that talk about where that ladder came from. And the issue is, it's been there so long at this point that nobody can agree on whether to remove it or not. Because there's been so much time and so many different traditions and so many people that need to be consulted for anything important to happen, that even moving a weird looking ladder at one of the holiest sites in the entire universe becomes a hotly contested and challenging issue. So how does this relate to where we're at as Walker Church, this ladder and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre? Hi, little bee. I guess what I would say is I'm thinking about this time, these last 6 months, and even though it's been incredibly painful and horrible, and I would never wish this year upon us, I don't actually believe that God is giving us a year of Jubilee. But I do think we can meditate a little bit on what is this teaching us about what we can let go of? What is this teaching us about who we are now, these 6 months later? What is this year teaching us about what it is that we want to create and what it is we want to let go of and what it is we want to surrender control of? One idea that I'm going to talk a little bit more about we have a meeting, we have our church council meeting this Wednesday, and the first hour or so is open to anyone and everyone from the church, both on Zoom, a few people in person, but also on Zoom. And we're going to follow up a little bit about the retreat we had this winter and talk about the last 6 months. And one thing that I want to be beginning to create out of this is a committed group of people, a committee of sorts that is looking at our community engagement and our sustainability as a church. Because the fact is that over the last 6 months, Walker has exploded back into, has deepened and exploded into being more and more a community resource. This church for many years has been a community resource. It has an amazing reputation in the community, and it has continued to be so during this pandemic. We've been a backup medical center. We have medical supplies stored at the church right now. We have Southside Harm Reduction here. We have our Southside Community Healing Collective that is still officing out of here and starting to get people back together. One of the leaders of that, Diane, is planning on doing a self-defense training this next Thursday in the backyard. There's all sorts of ways that we are already part of the community in this area. And the fact is that we need some people as a part of Walker who are regularly able to commit to hospitality and outreach of the people renting this building who are a part of our mission here, as well as our neighbors and neighboring organizations and people who want to invest in this 3104 16th Avenue South building and the Walker mission. And community and sustainability might feel like slightly different ideas, but the word sustainability has been on my mind a lot. And that's kind of what I see my role as being at Walker Church is sort of the captain of sustainability. I feel highly committed to the fact that Walker Church will only continue to be Walker Church in its identity and in its financial abilities and in all of its missions and values if we are committed to the community around us and not just existing for the sake of the 50 to 100 people that regularly participate in Walker celebration services. but that in order to be sustainable in many different ways, this needs to be a community where all hands are on deck, not just the people in this particular building, but the people that are on this street, the people that are in this neighborhood, the people that share the values of Walker Church. I'm hoping that with thinking about this as a year of Jubilee and not just a year of shutdown pandemic time, I can try to absorb a little bit more of the idea of resting in that awareness and think that perhaps there's been other people and other places at other times that have been able to use times in jail, times in isolation, times in exile as a time where they also got to become more fully who they truly are and center themselves on who they are and who they want to be. So now I'm going to allow us, if anyone has an immediate reflection on that, that's great. If you want to share online or if you want to share out here, and then I'm going to load up while you're thinking, or if anybody wants to share, I'm going to load up some of our other music, which is online today. If anyone on here has thought, oh, hi, Greg.
Hello.
If anyone on here has thought, you can just shout out.
Yeah, well, I would like to reinforce that idea of us reinvigorating our mission statement and looking to who all shares that with us in the community. I think that's excellent path to pursue.
Thanks, Steve. I love that you've got your sign behind you. It's a good setup. Yeah, and if any of you are particularly interested in this, especially passionate, please let me know because I can put you on the steering committee there. All right, did I see a hand from someone? Is that Sally? Are you raising your hand? You got to unmute yourself. You want to share?
I think before the pandemic, we were struggling to figure out how Walker could be relevant to the community. And we had a lot of different ideas floating around, but there was not really a focus. And I think that the pandemic has really focused us more as a church, and I really commend the people that have been on the street and at the church. Thank you so much. I haven't been able to do that.
Yeah, everyone's got a different role in this place right now. And I know that that has been some of the most challenging and stressful things, Sally. I think you're totally right about that, that this is definitely a very action-oriented church where everybody wants to get all hands on deck. And it's been a season where a lot of us have been in a place where we feel really helpless and scared and vulnerable. I know that during the riot, the particularly dangerous parts of the riots, I had to accept that I'm not someone who does well with no sleep, and I am not someone who really am trained right now in being in dangerous street environments. And so I had to do a lot of delegating. And Alina and their group of anarchist friends were able to kind of take over and do a lot of really cool things that I didn't feel like I could do. And so it's been amazing to see how we can work together, some in person, some away. And that's been a really powerful and a very humbling witness, because I know all of us want to be the people, all of us want to be the out front heroes, and that's not the way that we're built to be. All right, I'll give you another second if someone else wants to say something, and then I've got some music for us. I think particularly Howard's song has a lot to do with what we're talking about.
We were the prophets of love, peace, and humor. We were consumed with not being just consumers. It was so glorious then to be a boomer, but wow, who are we now? Who are we now? We stood in the streets till the war had to close. Women and blacks got their own TV shows. We tried to love anyway our hearts chose to avow. And we took a bow. Who are we now? I'm on my knees now just begging this question. I thought that we had some laurels to rest on, but just know that old arc of justice is swerving the wrong way. We've come so far, but we've still got a long way to go. Oh, no. I'm on my knees now just begging this question. I thought that we had some laurels to rest on, but no, just know that old arc of justice is swerving the wrong way. We've come so far and we've still got a long way to go. Oh, yeah. Now the future's ahead, you can see lots of sky. We're all gonna be famous after we die. We'll be the ones who will figure out why, if not how. I furrow my brow, I ask, who are we now? Who are we now? Are we now?
Woo! Good job, Howard. All right. Oh, is there a choir song too? Did you send me a choir song or no? Oh, all right, good. We don't have time for it anyway. Beautiful job, Howard. I love it. And I love that you call it Old Hippies Song. Well, I would love to hear, before we do birthdays and another song, and then eat brunch, I'd love to hear if anyone else has announcements and things that they want to share today. Besides, we've got council on Wednesday, like I said, and we've got an all church cleanup day on Saturday. So if people have, if you want to help with some stuff in the yard and some stuff with the basement and upstairs and the whole sorts of stuff, you can show up at church on Saturday and make sure you wear a face mask and weather appropriate clothing. I think probably like 10, 9:30, 10 will start. Does anyone else have things they want to share?
Hello. I just want to give a little video report. This movie, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, is so spiritually uplifting. It's the Tom Hanks movie where he plays Mr. Rogers. The acting, not so great, but the message is incredible. Thank you. That's my video report.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I haven't seen that or the documentary version. I definitely would like to see both of those. He's a Presbyterian pastor, so my Princeton people love him. Steve says, anyone interested, please check out Global Shapers Global Goals Jam this week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday will feature the environmental justice struggle in East Phillips, the urban farm at Roof Depot. Wow, great.
I just added, it's a United Nations sponsored group that has a chapter here in Minneapolis, and so they are. This conference will feature us, around the world and so we're really looking forward to the ability to get our message out. So please pay attention in any way that you can. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for your work on that, Steve. Ooh, I hear a car. Greg wanted to make sure to tell me before he had to leave that it's his birthday next week. So we got to make sure to celebrate that. Any other birthdays? Conrad? No. Alan? Both? Alan? Conrad? Oh, last Thursday, 73. Oh my goodness. Conrad, Alan, Greg. That's a good group we got going on. I think that's all the birthday. That's 3 pretty significant ones though.
Yay, Virgo!
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear
Conrad and Alan and Greg.
Happy birthday to you all. Okay, let's do the old favorite here. Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saves a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
My fear and grace freely. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saves a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was bound, but now I'm free.
Hallelujah.
Need it dropped off? You can text me. I'll put my phone number in here. We can drop off food if you need it. Thanks, all.
So Al, yoo-hoo.